So, the thing about emotional stability, when you go to work and you have you're working with somebody, if you don't know who you're going to get when you show up, like one day you get, a laid back, easygoing, inviting person that to engage. But then the next day you show up and the person's short and gruff and grumpy and sour. Like you go into work every day and the first thing you got to do is decipher what kind of mood your leader is in order to figure out how you're supposed to approach him that day. And what an incredible waste of energy. And so to me, the great leaders are emotionally stable. You know what you're going to get when you show up. And you don't have to worry about deciphering the puzzle before you engage. And this was not one of my strong suits as a leader. I mean, I was a bit of I was kind of all over the place emotionally on most days. And I remember, I'm not sure who brought it to me, but I remember one time, I think it might have been JD. He walked up to me and he's like, when you walk around the office looking at your shoes with a big ass scowl on your face, it doesn't do a lot for the energy around here. But then the next day I might be super excited and energetic and positive. So to me, emotional stability, but what emotional stability does is build safety. And in order to be creative, in order to take risks on a team, you have to have the safety to understand and know that you're not going to end up in some kind of a predicament, or you're not going to be judged, or so the emotional stability, the fact that you can predict the leader's emotional state, allows you the safety to engage, right, and to be creative, and that in turn creates an innovative team that's willing to take risks. And we all got to take risks. In teams where there's a great deal of fear, I think there's very little risk taking. And without risk taking and without innovation, we're not going to move the thing forward. The thing about the human condition is that it's incredibly unstable. And it's incredibly unstable for most people, and we all face it. Different times in our life, it's more stable and less stable and so on. But as the leader, if you can provide this place where people can show up and it's a stable environment where they feel safe, to me, that is one of the four pillars of being a great leader. I talk about, in that area, I talk about my beer league hockey team's manager. And I use him as an example of stability. And he has been able to lead us for 26 years and keep us together for 26 years. And the main reason that he can do that, or has done that, is just this incredible emotional stability, consistency. You show up into the locker room and he's sitting in the same place every time. The speaker on the wall is hanging on the same hook. The beer is iced in the middle of the locker room. The same playlist is playing. And you show up and you know what environment you're going to get. The other primary piece of content that I really love out of this section, I talk about how, if you are the leader, what would it be like if you treated your employees in a way as if they were volunteers? And so when an employee, if all your employees were volunteers, if they were giving their time to show up at work, how would you treat them? You'd be incredibly grateful, right, for their time, for their commitment. You would want to create an environment that felt great for them to show up to, so they'd keep showing up. And I think the thing that the message I want to send from that section into the world is that leaders have to understand that your employees are volunteers. And that's a transition that we need to make. Here's the rub on that. If you're working inside of a high growth, successful company with a nice brand like Big B Coffee, that you're going to be kind of sought after in the world, right? Because and so you can go get another job somewhere else, I think fairly easily, like maybe that day, depending. But my point on that is so as leaders, that's the mentality we need to have. And imagine the difference inside of our teams and inside of our engagements if we were all treating each other like we're all volunteers, which, well, with the exception of Bob and I, because we can't leave. We're like chained in here, right? But no, I mean, if we treated everybody like volunteers, imagine what that would feel like, and again, but it's and I correlate that to stability, right? Like that mentality would create an incredibly stable environment. So that's the second section on leadership. It's sort of the second trait that I think is critical to being an effective leader, which is this concept of emotional stability and then therefore safety, and creating an environment where people are feel safe and have the ability to take risks, be creative, innovate, and so on.